Welcome to Michigan Reimagined, a Spotlight podcast. And here's your host, Chris Buck.
All right, in 2021, August was announced to be Hip Hop Appreciation Month in Michigan. 1 year after that important milestone, All of the Above Hip Hop Academy will be hosting its first annual AOTA Hip Hop Week. And to kick off the celebration, AOTA partnered with Lansing Parks and Recs to offer a great place to gather and celebrate. And it's going to conclude with a breaking competition called the Cap City Jam. Here to start to share the rundown of events is the executive director of All of the Above Hip Hop Academy, Ozay Moore. Welcome to the show, Ozay.
Hey, thank you for having me, Chris.
So I want to start with your roots a little bit. I was tickled to hear that you're a Seattle guy.
Yeah.
So tell us about your roots. How did your passion for hip hop begin, and how did you end up here in Lansing, Michigan?
Yeah, thanks. I grew up in a musical household. My father was a dance choreographer for the Paramount Theater. So I just kind of grew up a theater brat, you know. Like
okay.
Ninja Turtles comes to town, I'm there, running around backstage in these dark theater underground rooms, and me and my brother playing tag, that kind of thing, you know. So we just grew up around the symphony, the orchestra, music, bands, rehearsal, all of that stuff. We were just hanging out with my dad all weekend while he went to, you know, rehearse and prep for these shows.
Okay.
And so, yeah, obviously, you know, growing up in the 90s, late 80s, 90s, you know, hip hop was just kind of, it was everywhere, you know. And so, you know, I tried my hand at it, you know, early. You know, my dad got us a karaoke box and just fell in love with recording my voice and trying to figure out how to make tapes and music. And yeah, eventually started making tapes and selling them at school for hot lunch and in the student store, you know. But, you know, I got signed to an independent label in San Diego at 18. And then was on the road at 19, fresh out of high school, and that kind of gave me the bug, you know, national tour, onto international tours, and just being a part of the music industry, you know, as a hip hop artist. But it was always about the culture first. It was always about love for the art form. It was never really about chasing the money. It was about how can hip hop be leveraged to have impact on people's lives, you know, as much as it has had on mine, kept me out of trouble,
right?
And provided a safe space for me to discover and find myself and find my community, you know.
It's funny that you mentioned that as I was kind of crafting this conversation and thinking about what questions I might ask. I was going to say that there's probably a faction of people out there that maybe consider hip hop to be a problem. Yeah. Like that maybe it gives people a place to kind of mix it up and get in trouble and all that stuff. And that's why I was so excited about bringing you on, because as I read through your website and follow you on social and stuff, I mean, you use the Hip Hop Dance Academy, you know, to bring people together, and create peace and joy and appreciation for this. And I think that that's a fantastic you know, situation. So that's great.
Right on.
So I got to ask, who are your influences? Who did you like when you were in the 80s and 90s? Who did you...
You know, everything from, you know, KRS-One, Big Daddy Kane, Rakim, one of my favorites of all time. But then even beyond that, breaking, you know, it was like, you know, Rocksteady Crew, Boston Floor Lords, you know, Massive Monkeys, DJs, Q-Bert, Grandmaster Flash, Babu, you know, graffiti writers, Futura, Scene One. So, I mean, I just loved every aspect of the culture growing up, man. I feel like, you know, as a kid, I just dabbled in everything, you know. So now I'm 40 years old, and, you know, I know how to paint, I know how to DJ, I know how to, you know, all these, because I've been doing it my whole life, you know, just being a participant. But that's kind of how it was. If your entry point was one medium in hip hop culture, you found yourself in other ones, because in those days they were all kind of in the same spaces more often than not. Hence why our organization is All of the Above Hip Hop Academy. It's not just rapping, it's not just breaking or DJing.
Okay, I was going to ask.
It's the whole culture. And so we want to present it that way, because we find in that we kind of break this like hyper individualistic kind of attitude or disposition, and can focus more on community, you know what I mean? And having all those art forms at the table at the same time, those different people from different walks of life, different perspectives, different skill sets, different ideas. It just kind of creates more of a space for folks to come together, and we learn in that way, you know what I mean? So
yeah. Okay, so you so Paramount Theater is where your dad was, and that's Detroit, right? You're
this is in Seattle.
In Seattle, okay, Paramount. Okay, got it.
Well, we love Detroit. I mean,
right, yeah.
My dad was doing tribute to Motown shows my whole life, so it's ironic that I end up in the Midwest, just next door to Detroit, having my whole life being based around Motown in Seattle.
Got it. Right. Okay. So now you're here in Lansing. You've got this organization established, which is a nonprofit. I was surprised to see. I was aware of the brand. We know a couple of the same people, but I was surprised. Board of directors. I mean, you're legit above board. You got a website. You got staff. I mean, there's 8 or 9 people listed on your deal. How did you find these like-minded folks, and what inspired you to make this nonprofit happen, and what's your mission? What are you trying to get accomplished? Then we obviously want to get into the appreciation first week of August.
For sure. So we started about a decade ago, just, as I was making my transition from, recording artist, traveling, touring, having a family of my own. That's me moving to Michigan. I met somebody, my wife, in Portland, Oregon. We relocated here to start our family, and then we traveled we went to Japan together, traveled all over the States together, but there came a point where it was like, okay, this lifestyle is not conducive to a family,
right.
At least the way we wanted to do it, So I was kind of making this transition, and really for the last 20 years, hip hop has been everything for me. It's been my schooling. It's been my education. It's taken me around the world to be able to learn firsthand all the things you read in books. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Talk with people, ask them questions about their economy, ask them questions about how hip hop is kind of like created a platform for them. And so I want to take all that information and use it in a way that would benefit the community. So we automatically started focusing on youth programming. I was doing shows Max Bar back then, even the Temple Club back then, and it felt like our hip hop community had this kind of revolving door of support from MSU, based upon who was there. So every 4 years, it felt like it was kind of like starting over again. You know what I mean? It was like we have a really good stretch, and then somebody would leave, and that monthly would be gone, and everybody would kind of just disperse back to their corners of the city. So we wanted to start something that would kind of sustain the hip hop community here and be an anchor, to where young people coming in would be able to get their bearings. Folks who've been around for a long time would be able to mentor youth and put them up on, the information and some of that institutional knowledge that comes with being a participant for that long. And so we just started reaching out to the community and seeing who was speaking the same language. And, James Garden, Joshua Smith, Rashad Muhammad, Tony Willis, Subin Cooley, and a handful of other folks just gravitated to what we were doing and said, how can I help? I'm a hip hop enthusiast. I believe in this work. I don't rap, I don't DJ, I don't do these things, but I do these things well. How can I put them to use for the organization? Right so it became an organization, and the rest is history, or we're creating it. You know what I mean?
All right. So before we get to all the shenanigans going on in the first week of August, what do you do outside of Hip Hop Appreciation Month? Like how do people engage with you? What do you provide for the community? What's available for people who are interested in hearing more?
Yeah, a big part of this, the celebration of this week is, we didn't grow up having to pay to learn what we did. We invested into our turntables, into our notebooks, and whatever things that we believed we needed to be able to excel in our craft. But it wasn't like we were paying for classes. So here we are in this kind of like weird space where we're a nonprofit. Obviously, we need resources to be sustained, but we also don't want to jeopardize or dilute the potency of the culture, right? And so our whole motto is free programming. We're just free programming, right? So we offer that year round. We have a bars program, beats and rhyme sessions, and we teach young people how to write rhymes and make beats. We put them in the studio, let them record their first songs. We get them in front of an audience, let them perform their first songs. You know what I mean? Our breaking classes at Lansing Parks and Rec, those are free to the community. DJ classes have been off and on based upon interest, but we run programming year round for free for the community, and really we just want folks to take advantage of it, because there's a lot of people out here who love or are interested in hip hop but might not know where to start, might not have a community to support them through their learning process, and provide those opportunities and proximity to resources, which we have, So not only on the knowledge component, and the experience component, but actual resources, recording studio,
Right.
recording equipment, beat making equipment, all of that.
Where is all that stuff? You have brick and mortar space, or do you use a spot that's just out there, or what do you do?
We're at the Lansing Public Media Center. So
you are? Okay.
We partner with the Lansing Public Media Center. That we have a space upstairs, and we run classes there. At least our more tech driven classes. Right. But then we partner with community partners who have space or have other amenities that work for our programming. So Parks and Rec. We approached them and they're like, absolutely. We camped out at Foster and we watched our numbers just like explode. So now we are working with kids between the ages of 6 and 16, breaking, and the numbers just climbing. Yeah.
These kids are rubber too. I'm sure
they're rubber,
they can
they
do
don't break.
all.
They don't break. They bounce off the floor. So.
That's fantastic. Okay. Yeah. All right. So now we got August is a live month for you guys. It was just last August 2021 when this all happened, and so you put a flag in the ground, huh? You said first week August is yours, and you're the beacon of hip hop in mid Michigan. So you're gonna take this new designation out for a spin, so to speak. Yeah, and
it's so much. It's less about us and more about the work, right? Because we wanted to put a flag in the first week, and in that week, all we're doing is talking about the free programming, the community partners who help us do what we do, and really just celebrating hip hop as a culture. We don't want to be the end all be all for this, but we do want to be a resource that's tapped into, So our offering for this week is this big like breaking competition at the end of the week, which is going to draw, folks from all over the region and beyond. To the city of Lansing, which, economically it's good for local business. Right. It's good for the culture. It's good for just having something unique and creative to go out to and be a part of as well. So, we're really excited about that. And So what are the dates and where do you go and how do you sign up? And you just show up? Are you buying tickets? How does this all work? What are we going to do? Free event to the community. If you want to compete, it's a $10 registration fee. You could do that on our website, alloftheabovehiphop.org. If you go to our Instagram and click the link in the bio, there's a link tree. It'll take you to everything you need to know. Okay. We have workshops from B-Boy El Nino from the legendary Boston Floor Lords and B-Girl Kate from Ukraine. They're both hosting workshops on Friday at the Cadillac Room. Those are free workshops. You just have to register on our site. You can also register at the door when you get there if you don't make it online or whatnot. But pre-registration just so we know how many people to expect. Right. But so far the numbers are climbing. A lot of folks coming in from out of town, taking advantage of these workshops and the opportunity to compete. So the Cadillac Room, I mean, can you go and watch, or is it really just I assume you can go and watch. I mean, it's limited space. I mean, it's kind of a big room, but it's really going to be. But that's a clinic. It's a clinic. Okay. Yeah. So it's going to be these dancers really breaking down, how they do what they do and passing along some of their tips and tricks to aspiring dancers. And that's on the 5th. That's on the 5th. Yeah. Okay. From 5:30 to 7:30. 5:30 to 7:30. Got it. Okay. Yeah. And then what else is happening that week? Through the week, we're just going to be, celebrating the culture on our social media. We'll be amplifying all of our sponsors, all the folks who help make this week a thing. And it usually takes a lot of people. So why don't you tell us a little bit about who's joined you in this endeavor? Man, we have the Arts Council. Okay. Is one, MSU FCU, they support us year round. Yep. So really thankful for them. Downtown Lansing Inc., Lansing Promise, Leap, Middle Village right here has gotten on board. The Visitors Bureau, Capital City Meyer Market. Okay. They've gotten down with us. And a handful of others, both big and small donations, but nonetheless, it's all these hands kind of coming in and making it so that we can do the work we do, not just for this week, but year round. Like I said, it's free programming. So we're not charging families and kids to participate, but it's been beautiful to watch the community get behind what we're doing and support the work, So that's fantastic. Good for them. So tell me about the Cap City Jam. That seems like no joke. I mean, looking at the website, you're bringing in people, you've got sponsors. That's a good deal. It's going to be a serious deal. We haven't had a jam like this in Lansing proper, I don't think ever. Now, Red Cedar Ransom used to happen at on MSU campus, and it was led by the MSU Breakdance Club. Oh, okay. So they were putting events together. But it's been a few years since anything like that's happened, but definitely not downtown Lansing or in Lansing proper. So our whole goal is to really kind of center breaking culture because we believe it's it's such a pure expression of the culture, right? And typically in any breaking competition, you have the DJs there, you have a graffiti element to it, whether it's in the flyer design or in, live painting at the event. But the DJs there, the MCs there, so the whole culture is usually there at these events, which is it's a beautiful kind of like offering of what the culture can feel like, you know what I mean?
Yep.
With this massive amount of energy and good vibes, But yeah, we have Red Bull involved. They're sponsoring by offering B-Girl Kate from Ukraine to come and be one of our judges and host a workshop. But B-Boy El Nino Strings from Hardcore Detroit, Mav from MCSDA, Willie from 99 Styles, Allison from Vertical Ambition. Let's see if I'm missing anybody. No, that's it. Those are our judges, but it's a serious cast. And DJ Irvin Arvana from Sound System, Long Beach, California, he's coming in. And we have a young DJ who's DJing the 1v1 from Detroit, 15, 16-year-old kid who is nice.
No joke,
so
huh?
yeah, he's going to be holding it down at the beginning of the day, but it's going to be a great event.
Nice.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
And so what day is that, and what time of day?
That's going from about 11 o'clock to probably 6:37.
Okay, that's an all day.
Depending on the competition. Yeah.
Right. And that's on the 6th.
That's on the 6th.
Okay,
Yep.
perfect. And Red Bull is pulling all this talent in to judge and make it an event, and people meet these people that are obviously knee deep in this industry and stuff. So.
Yeah, so Red Bull is sponsoring Kate, the one.
Okay, got
and then
it.
then they're bringing tons of Red Bull, free Red Bulls, obviously.
Yes.
But yeah, some of the other folks were just us, tapping into our resources, both regionally and nationally, to invite folks to our city that we love and that we are trying to really build a community for breaking here. So it's a really significant gesture to hold an event at this size here in Lansing, having no reputation for events like this.
Right.
So eyes will be on Lansing that weekend for sure.
Right on.
Yeah.
And not to take the eyes off Lansing, but are there other equal but different events going on around the state? Because this is a state hip hop appreciation month.
Yeah.
Do you know, is Detroit or Grand Rapids or Kalamazoo, Traverse, any of these people doing? Flint, Saginaw?
I don't know of any celebrations for the month per se, but man, there's folks doing stuff year round. You know, like I said, Motor City Street Dance Academy, MCSDA, Mav1, and their crew out Southwest Detroit. They're doing events all the time. They do jams all the time, battles and competitions all the time. In fact, this Saturday they have the Rock City event, which is going to be incredible. Indiana, they get down. They had the BC one qualifiers just a couple months ago. In Grand Rapids, 616 Street Dance Academy, they're doing events all the time.
Okay.
Flint, Vertical Ambition, Chicago, Milwaukee, Indiana, Ohio. I mean, the culture is alive and thriving, so much so that in 2024, we have breaking in the Olympics in Paris, right? So it's been happening, and not in the mainstream, like, perspective or line of vision, but it's been happening for the last 40 years strong. It has not really stopped, and you have these folks who have been doing it that long, and they're able to pass down the culture to the next generation, and they're taking it further than they could have. Now we're in the Olympics, so
it's unbelievable.
It's exciting. Yeah.
Well, it's exciting times. We've been talking with Ozay Moore, the executive director of All of the Above Hip Hop Academy, talking about how August is Hip Hop Appreciation Month here in Michigan. We got a big Cap City Jam coming next weekend. So hit, what's the handle in the website? Yeah,
so AOTA Hip Hop on Instagram, alloftheabovehiphop.org online.
Fantastic. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate you.